the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
We shall do that. It is Coffee Ann on ON Radio. It's Wednesday morning, January 15th, halfway through the month. Thanks for joining us. My name's Joe Callahan. Let's say good morning to the panel. That's Melissa Smith. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Tim Draper's here. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Joe.
And there's John Ward. Hi, John.
Good morning, everyone.
I realize I'm the only one that waves.
Well, you are on camera. Technically,
I know.
should wave.
I realize that, though. I add a wave, and you guys just
Well, that's what makes
Stoic.
you unique.
sit there. So I'm
Was
stoic.
it the Queen's
Just
wave?
nothing regal about it.
Ta-da!
All right.
Not even like a
Oh.
nothing.
All right, Melissa, it is time for your first message from the St. Antoine Communities, our first segment sponsor of Coffee Inn, so go right ahead.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know a lot about St. Antoine Community, we are a large long-term care campus located on the line of Blackstone and Woonsocket up in the corner of North Smithfield. On our property, we offer an expansive continuum of services that range from assisted living to short and long-term skilled care. We have a wonderful state-of-the-art rehab facility, as well as 2 levels of secured memory care now. We have our new memory care assisted living called Primrose Lane, as well as our special care unit in the nursing home at St. Antoine Residence. So if you are interested in learning more about the services available on our property, or just even getting familiar kind of with the process of placing a loved one, please feel free to reach out. You can call me at 401-767-3500. Thank you.
All right there, Melissa. All right, we'll get to this right away. Thoughts on Mike Vrabel as a new coach for the Patriots? Yay, nay? Everybody happy?
Yay.
Yay for Tim.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That was our speculation last week.
Right. John's with a yay as well.
We were correct.
Rumors started
correct.
like a month ago. I think rumors started on that.
I think the whole decision was probably made
3 or 4
before
weeks
Gerard
ago.
Mayo took over, it seems.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the interviews that they did do with other people were like?
Yeah.
So why do you want to be the coach? And they give their answer. Okay, thanks for coming.
Yeah. It was
Nice
just
to have you in.
Why do you want to take the job reserved for Vrabel?
That's right.
Right.
And it's on the front page of today's Call and Times. They asked 4 people a question of the week, and it's, do you like Mike Vrabel as a coach? Everybody says yes, except for one. Amanda Pawtucket says, no, I think they should have picked somebody else. Not a big Mike Vrabel fan. Not sure why. And I think there were better coaches they could have gotten.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a direct quote.
There were a lot of
It's not a huge
coordinators
pool.
that are like in the hunt to be head coaches somewhere, but we just went through that, and that did not work for us. So
Right.
find a head coach who's been a head coach, who has contacts in the league, and
And we'll go from there.
go from there. Now, yeah, that was one of the reporters in Nashville that the sports guys up here interviewed said the good thing about Mike Vrabel is he's just like Bill Belichick. The bad news about Mike Vrabel is he's just like Bill Belichick.
He gives you nothing.
And then he gives you certain things that are really good. Like that is going to be one tight ship up in Foxborough.
He's like a no nonsense,
Right? Yeah,
right?
no nonsense. You know, there's you're not going to see the same penalty being made in the same game 5 times by the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh my
right?
gosh,
You won't
yeah.
see that. You
The
won't see
discipline.
fumbles.
Okay.
That stuff's going to get really tight. But he's just got an edge about him.
I thought were they talking about his press conferences though, where Bill would give you his
That's
one-word
the
answers,
second part.
and we're
of it.
moving
That's
on
the,
to Cincinnati.
Right, that's the
Kinda-
second part of it. He's but they have some people have said he's somewhere between Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. Parcells would engage you and bust your chops as a reporter, whereas Belichick gave you nothing.
Yeah.
But so somewhere in between there, they figure Vrabel's going to be a little more sarcastic, a little more edgy.
He seemed very open on his introduction,
Right.
on last Monday,
Right.
and although he didn't give answers.
He did not give the
He
answer
didn't give
about
any
have you
answers.
talked to Drake May yet?
Yeah.
I've talked to players on our team.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were answers
Because
like
Drake's
that.
down in the Bahamas, I think.
And what
on
about your-
vacation?
That's because he doesn't know all their names.
That's the other problem. We're getting there.
And what about offensive and defensive coordinator? Well, we're going to be talking with people.
Right.
Oh, okay. That kind of sort of answers the question.
Well, you know, how do you...
He's got a lot of time to plan all this
Right.
out.
I
though.
mean,
we're early.
The expectation of him having
I
an
think
answer.
it's just that he's practicing for his questioning when he goes to become a Supreme Court justice.
When's that going to happen?
Wait for the question to come and then don't answer it.
Right.
All right.
Say something else.
All right.
I was watching a lot of that yesterday with
Hegseth?
Hegseth.
Oh, I was,
Oh my God, you
a
just
lot of
totally,
that's-
totally
yes or
pivoted the
no
conversation.
That conversation was from
It's a
sports
yes
to
or no
politics.
question, and he said everything except yes or no.
Right.
I saw a lot of the questions. Mostly it was from
That was so political.
they were trying to make the senators look stupid, and so it was from that group of people and making Hegseth look smart. And oh boy, Elizabeth Warren asked him a question, and his answer
about being a general,
about
about
being a
being
general,
generals, yeah.
and it just cracked up the
I'm
whole
not a
place.
general.
Laughed at her.
Yeah.
I'm not a general was the answer, and the guy sitting next to Elizabeth Warren,
What a face.
rolling his eyes and throwing his head back. Oh God, that's a stupid question. So
Well, I thought Jack Reed handled himself pretty well yesterday.
It was
he came out right away and just
until
said, "I'm not voting for
until
you."
he hit the follow-up question on the meaning of the word jag.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that
Yeah,
too.
remember that one? Got a little uncomfortable for a minute.
Yeah. It was jag off, right? Wasn't that
Yeah,
the
well,
question?
that's yes.
Like,
Officer? Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
what it was.
I don't think you want to know. Was the answer? It's like,
But it was just so hilarious to watch. And if you watch the other side
Yeah.
4 years ago, the same kind of stuff happened.
all right. Is he
the
on
other
the?
way.
Is he on the hot seat again today? Is he gonna?
Hegseth, no, he's done.
Oh, that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
today
over
is
with.
today is Security and State Department. Margot Rubio is going before the Foreign Relations Committee.
Okay.
And then Tulsi Gabbard and some of the others with security are going to some other committee for questioning.
All right.
I think Rubio might have the easiest time of all.
Rubio's
agree.
gonna be. He's gonna slide through.
Right.
I agree.
And he's a good. And I think he's a good guy. I think he's a right guy.
He's a senator, so it's
Oh, they all like him.
it's like
Not all of
going to a
them.
cocktail party for an interrogation. No, they can't do that anymore because I really wish that Hegseth had just started with. He talks about how he got through all of these troubling times. Yes, he drank a lot. Yes, he would have sex with women. Yes, he cheated on his wives. Just say it. But what they kept harping on was he was accused of rape. Well, yeah, but they investigated and there was no charge of rape.
Nothing there, yeah.
And when you
Yeah, but
hear
you've been accused.
when you hear all of the details of that story,
Yeah.
you realize, yes, that was. I mean, everything that I heard says that it was a wife who got caught by a husband and had to come up with a reason that it
story,
happened. So he raped me.
Ah, okay. The other thing I heard was he does not want women in combat roles.
No, that's
no,
that's
that
not
wrong?
exactly true.
Okay.
What he said was he doesn't want women going into combat who are getting there by virtue of lowered standards.
Right.
Because he
see.
wants
Okay.
the quality of the soldier to be the same,
Okay.
whether a man or a woman.
Okay.
And if a woman can't meet the standards necessary to pick up a weapon and go to a front to shoot,
Okay.
then they shouldn't be there because you're putting them and the rest of the team in at risk.
All right.
That's what he objects to.
But I didn't hear
Melissa,
him.
you're the
I didn't
woman. What do
hear
you
him
think?
explain it that way.
No. How'd you
I
hear
have.
it?
I have several times.
I think
And
it
I
was-
did hear him explain it that way yesterday.
Go ahead. No.
Well, I guess I'm going to ask you very directly. It seems like you're in favor of him being
I am.
sworn in. You are.
I am. And he even admitted it. And I was amazed that he said it in the hearing. He's going in to be a disruptor. He's not committed or
He
tied
wants to get rid
to
of people.
the defense industry lobbyists.
Yeah.
He wants to look at it objectively. He wants standards that everyone has to meet equally because fighting a war is a physical thing. And if you don't have the physical attributes to fight the war as is necessary to participate, then you shouldn't be there because you put other people at risk. So he wants the standards to be the same for everybody. Men, women, black, white, green, orange, whatever. And he's not tied to the industry. So he wants to go out and acquire services and goods using a clean system. And he's doing it from the perspective of somebody who has done wrong things in his life. And he's, when he went about becoming probably a born-again Christian, he totally devoted his life to following that path. And this is the result, is that he claims to be a different person than he was when he was making all those mistakes. But he's absolutely dedicated to the military and the rank and file predominantly.
So he did not answer the question the way you said that John answered it.
Yeah.
But the senator there was a senator yesterday that asked him, you will have to change your position on women serving in the front lines. And he did say, I totally embrace women being able to be in a combat position as long as they're held to the same standards. So he did clarify the whole standards thing, and it's probably I don't think there's any better way to say it except maybe the way John said it. Come out and describe it, but you don't seem to believe
I look
that.
at the whole package. I think I go back, and no different for me. And we've talked about this even with Trump as a candidate. I just feel like this is the best we can find. Like this is the best person that you could think of to give such a valuable and important role, to be responsible. It's the largest budget, correct? What it was something
yes,
$1 trillion. It's like insanity.
It's the largest budget. And I've spoken with my son about this, who works as a consultant in the defense industry with the Army, and he said this will not change that much. There's certain things that simply must happen, and they do. But in terms of process and making sure bids go to the right way and they don't build things just to build things, if you read histories on Afghanistan and the things that we were doing, we were building buildings that we knew were never going to get used just because we had to blow through the money that they allocated to us. That's the kind of stuff. And this is actually more like, this second term is more like what I had always hoped for in the first term. In the first term, it just got rude and crude and nasty all around. And his leadership team was not... came out of the institutions, where this team is more, as Hegseth described it, as a disruptor. This is the kick in the butt that I wanted to see happen in Washington, where we're not doing business the way we always did business. We're going to scrutinize everything from a different point of view now, not as a bureaucratic, institutionalized system that always just keeps doing the same thing and spending money as fast as you give it to us. We're going to question everything. And I hope, and I pray, if he gets the job, that that's exactly what he does, is question everything.
Well,
and hold people to standards that that he claims he is living his life in.
it'll be interesting because I don't think the media wants the institutions to change.
No, they don't.
And they're the ones that are going to just be
Because the media...
Question.
Well, they're just going to pound on every little. They're going to twist, and they're only going to report what they want to report, so that's all you see on the nightly news is what they want you to hear, and that's why we're in this mess, because we're no longer just.
No, I also heard yesterday that he said that the United States, won World War II. We had 7 4-star generals. It's 2025. We have 44 4-star generals now.
And we're not even in a war.
And
we
it's
have
time
fewer
to get rid of them.
soldiers,
Well,
don't we?
not all of them, but it's time to cut
Retire them out.
and get them out. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some that maybe should retire. We're not actively in a front-facing war. So basically any 4-star general right now is a bureaucrat basically presiding over a similar to a bureaucratic department in government.
And getting a nice salary out of it.
Getting a nice salary out of it, setting up for a nice pension, and setting up for their job, as Elizabeth Warren pointed out, setting up for their job in the defense
years in the
industry
defense
the minute
industry.
they get out.
That's right.
Because that's the thing that has brought us where we are. We have industry people, and to a certain extent, I'm going to say Trump, I think, is doing the wrong thing in some regards with some of the financial industry people coming into Treasury and coming into some of like commerce and things like that. Those are people coming out of finance industry that are already billionaires, and they've already made their mark in industry. So when they come in, the only difference is they're not going to go out to some really big job in a lobbying organization. They're coming out of those lobbying organizations. Well, you have to question their motivation, whether they're just padding their own industry and then are going to go back into it, setting up a better situation for themselves, or if they're actually just coming in with their experience, wanting to do the right thing. And of course, when you get to that level of government, I mean, I struggle to deal with the bureaucracy at the state level. I can't even fathom what it's like when you get up to the federal level, and instead of millions, you're dealing in billions. It's
Or higher.
or higher.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's painful to think about.
All right, we're going to take our first break here in the Coffee AM program, and we'll move on to other subjects. But first, a second message, Melissa, please, from the St. Antoine communities.
So, you heard me offer earlier that if you're interested in learning more about the services available at St. Antoine Community, reach out to me. And largely because this time of year, it's obviously we're on the heels of the holidays, and a lot of adult children have gone home to visit with mom and dad and see that maybe things have changed and there might be more need for support than can be provided in their community. But also just because this time of year being winter, and it's a little bit more isolating for seniors, and things change. But also a big component of that is mental health. And being with other folks and socializing, interacting, having friends to share a meal with matters, and it might change your quality of life for the better. So if you are either someone who's interested in learning more about that, or realize that this is the time that you might need a little more help, I encourage you to reach out to me. You can call me at 401-767-3500. Robin's been on the air before. Robin and myself, we oversee admissions and marketing and making sure that you get a tour and all the information that you need. So feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you.
All right, Melissa, thanks. And the Coffee and program will continue. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Are you retired or retiring soon? That's great. Congratulations. You may be retiring, but your money can't afford to retire. I'm Ed Carew of the Carew Investment Group at 2190 Mendon Road, Suite 3, Cumberland, Rhode Island. At the Carew Investment Group, we offer personal investment management of client money, especially from the proceeds of their 401k distribution after they leave the workforce. So to find out more about our services and for professional management of your investments, call Ed or Paul Carew at 765-8880. Securities are offered through Bolton Global Capital, member FINRA and SIPC, and advisory services offered through Bolton Global Asset Management, a registered investment advisor.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
We're local and live at 99.5.
It's Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan with Melissa Smith, Tim Draper, and John Ward. And just take a look at the front page of today's Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. And the Dignity bus is actually up and running.
Yes, it is.
They had the people come up from Florida because it fixed the heat.
Yes.
And I don't know why the heating system's on the top of the bus, but I don't design these things, and that's just the way it is. So, okay. Because heat rises. And,
because it's a bus, not a house.
Well, that's right. So, okay. But they fixed it, and so that's good. And so according to Mayor Chris Beauchamp, 13 people took advantage of the Dignity bus last Friday and Saturday night. It can hold 20. So, good. The problem... I don't know if you want to call it a problem, but the situation is that you and this is why people don't use it, is the rules that they have to follow. One of them, and I read it at the end of the article, says once you get on the bus for the night,
You can't get off.
you can't leave.
Hotel
Unless you want to just
Hotel California.
That's right. Unless you want to get out and leave you only want to come in for an hour and then take off. You can do that, but you can't go like
can't
I said,
go
you
out
can't
for
go
a
out for a
smoke.
smoke. You can't go out and talk with people you may know and then come back out. It's like no, you're. It's almost like you're a prisoner, but it's free. So and in the morning you got to leave, of course. So that's just one of the rules. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's, the more troubling information I learned, and it's not a scientific poll, but Tara from down at the Providence station informally polled police chiefs across the whole state. And
Okay.
let's ask them how many homeless
In
their
their
community.
All right. And
And
what did we
of
come
course,
up with?
number one by a lot, like 40 or 50 more than second
Than
place.
everyone else?
40 at least
Was us?
was Woonsocket at 100.
All right.
Really?
And what are the other?
And they say there are like
So-
seven separate encampments along in the woods around the city.
in the city? Wow.
Providence and Pawtucket were second, third.
50 or so. Yeah.
The interesting thing was there were still some. They still said they had some in West Warwick where they outlawed outdoor camping. So they might have some sort of shelter down there. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're asking about homeless, not how many people are homeless living outdoors.
Okay.
And I actually, in being the nuisance that I can be sometimes, I actually sent off an email to a legal person in DEM, and it was referred to one of their scientists. And I asked this question: the Mill River, right where Providence Street is, Privilege Street rather, there's an encampment right along the Mill River, just off the bridge. You can see the tents all along the riverbank. Now, when my wife and I worked with the mayor and cleaned up under the Court Street Bridge, my wife was working around the bridge abutment towards the river and cleaning up down there, and she just stopped all of a sudden and came back around and said, no, I'm not cleaning their bathroom. And so I asked the question of DEM, what is your jurisdiction and responsibility to the quality of the river at the Mill River, where these people don't have a bathroom, don't have an outhouse? So clearly they have to either be using the river itself or the embankment of the river for their leaving their human waste, which will leach into the river, which is upstream from the Blackstone, feeds into the Blackstone River upstream from our sewage treatment plant. And if they're testing the river water downstream from our plant and they pick up fecal
Samples,
material and bacteria and get readings that say our plant is too high for output, and it may be because it's coming from a riverbank at the Mill River, what's your responsibility to stop this from happening?
Did you get an answer?
Yes. It's basically, do you remember Chico and the Man?
Yes, I do. I don't think Melissa's going to remember this. Freddie Prinze.
Freddie Prinze character, and what he would say when he would be told to do something.
Looking good?
No. What was the line?
I thought it was looking good.
It's not my job, man.
It's not my job. It's
not
That's
my job.
Okay. Wow, all right.
They did so much bureaucratic deflection, it would make your teeth rattle in rage. It was amazing, the
Did they say
bureaucratic
who was?
answer I got. Well, they said, well, we really don't have control. We can't do anything about that. But if you can document something, you might be able to contact maybe the Department of Health. And it's like, wait a minute. They cleared out an encampment. They cut down a couple of trees, and they made them spend $13,000 to replant trees. But they have no authority to stop somebody from taking a dump in the river? I guess not.
I guess not.
That's the kind of bureaucracy, I think, that makes me crazy. Is
I've seen it.
nobody wants to take responsibility because they're afraid to offend someone.
I've seen an encampment pop up. They cleared this one out a while ago, but now it seems to be coming back right by the Truman bypass behind the Verizon building. And I see, ooh, another tent has popped up
Where the
over
new
there.
trees are planted.
Where the new trees are. That you're right. Yeah.
And right across the river in the woods next to the Court Street Bridge, there's another encampment. Back under the Court Street Bridge, they're creating a mess again, even though there was a porta-john and a dumpster left for them to throw away their trash. It's still all over the ground under the bridge. And it's a mess.
Can I go back for a minute? You said Woonsocket has
100.
100 homeless people, whereas Providence has
It was
30
50,
less?
56 or 50.
Now, is that because Providence has the abundance of shelter beds that are
It could
available?
be that they have so many shelter beds. There's
And
few
we
people
don't
out on
hear?
the street.
Okay.
Where we have just the church on North Main and
The bus.
Sale Street
And the bus.
Wow.
And the bus.
So
if
it
it's
truly
only-
is an inventory problem here in the city.
Do
What's
you,
available?
do you remember where North Smithfield came in?
I think they had one.
One homeless person?
Yeah, 1 or 0.
Wow. Well, that's good.
I'm
But see, that's where I
shocked to learn
question the
that 'cause-
accuracy because I.
You think it's more?
Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding is that we have a
Yeah,
problem
there
in
are.
town.
There are more.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure that the chief maybe
right.
knew or wanted to give a more
How about Cumberland?
honest answer. Cumberland's very low. Smithfield, Lincoln, they're all very
Oh,
low.
I know they're very low.
Well, I think it
sure.
depends on where you draw
One
the
of-
line
one
in
of-
town.
One of the interesting ones that was high, which was I think up in the 30s, was Westerly,
Really?
which makes sense, I guess. People,
Well, the
If
price
it's
of
more
houses,
urban. Yeah. What's that?
the price of housing is so high and rent and everything, you're going to have those issues. But it would just, I guess that if people can get their services close by, you're going to have a concentration of
That's
people who are.
my argument about this whole thing is that the city has become something of a mecca because our service agencies services are all in such a concentrated area. It makes it
and
easy
social. Yeah.
to be easier than if you're in other communities where you have to travel or catch a bus or move from place to place. In the city, Providence, you have to go from place to place to get any service. And Woonsocket, you just come to a place where you're within no more than 500 feet from one or the other service, whether it's Thunder Mist for Health or Community Care Alliance for your needle, free needle, and Narcan, and in counseling services. And now my understanding is that in the city there's an organization that's going to be looking to try to establish a, what do they call that? A harm reduction center, otherwise known as a shooting gallery.
Shooting up gallery? You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Last night was the State of the State address from the governor. Did anyone watch?
I watched pieces
I got
of it.
little pieces.
I
of
watched
it
it
too.
until Channel 10 literally cut it off.
Why? Why
After an hour,
he
Channel
went over
10
an
just
hour.
Boom.
Because it was 8 o'clock. It was
Yeah,
time for
they were
prime
done.
time
Yeah.
for NCIS or whatever.
Yep,
the
he was
show was.
in mid-sentence, and they just went,
Bang, done.
yep, we'll
He had an
Could be on the
hour.
other
They
station.
gave him an hour.
right. I found it funny that poor guy had to, whoever wrote the speech or his delivery, I'm not sure which, forced him on several occasions to look at the crowd and go, all right, you can stand up and clap now.
Oh,
Clap for me.
that's-
I just said something good. You should clap.
It's got to be his delivery.
Pause for applause.
Pause for applause.
I think they
And I think
maybe didn't believe the message.
Yeah, maybe. And I think that whoever was running the teleprompter was not in sync with how he was delivering. Because he was at one point he's like, okay, they're way ahead. I got to have them come back, so I'm going to riff here for a minute.
I mean, I don't think his voice
Poor guy.
dips or rises in the right spots when giving a speech to begin with. It's very flat, so maybe
I don't think he's ever really been known for his oratorical
audience
skills.
just wasn't. I didn't watch it, but I'm just assuming the audience wasn't reacting to.
I still kid about his speech patterns with the two words that he turns into one, Rhode Island, because basically
word.
I spell it when I try to spell what he says, it comes out Rudilan. Rhode Island.
Well, he did highlight some of the state's successes over the past year. I don't know what they were, but he wants to improve the economy, housing availability, assist for the homeless, continue the progress being made in
How
public
much
education
housing was
system.
made available?
I don't
mean,
know.
the market.
I
The
don't know.
market.
Well, he
of
said
the houses on the market right now are one of the lowest levels. The prices are still rising. The interest rate's still up near 7%. Give me the good news.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't have the specifics. So.
It's going to be such a mess when they have to balance the budget. He's going to have to present a balanced budget, right? The
Doing
government
that
has to
next
do it,
week.
Right. And then the legislature is going to look at it and go, yeah, no, we can't do that. I want to know what he cut, though. He didn't talk about any of his what he had to eliminate to get it to be a
He
balanced
did.
budget.
I thought I read.
Him talking about the state of Rhode Island last night, the way he did it, is literally what is meant by the term putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah. It's a good description.
What I did read is that he says all cities and towns of Rhode Island, for their school budgets, are going to get an increase.
Yes.
I don't know how much. He doesn't say, because it's in the budget. He doesn't say how much everyone's getting, but everyone's getting more.
Yeah.
Now the budget.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Does everyone, 4 critical letters here, does everyone need more? Or do some need more than others need more, if they need it at all?
I went to they released the survey for the nonprofit sector for 2024, which is basically sort of the state of the nonprofit sector, and it's amazing how bad that looks. It is. We're talking about as a grantor, but then having a charitable foundation, we can expect, they say, to get at least a 10% increase in asks in organizations.
Well, I'm sure.
Now that is actually, I think, low.
Yeah.
Because last year, my first round of grant requests, there were 60. By the second round, there were 78. They were asking for $2.5 million in the fall for donations.
Wow.
I didn't have that much to give. Mm-hmm. And so now you have to start making decisions. So now we gave 17 grants to different organizations across the state, which means I ticked everybody else off.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't tick them off, but I disappointed them.
Right. But can you, instead of someone's asking for $1 million, you can say, well, we don't have enough. But
I did.
But
that's how I get to 17.
Here's 500,000.
Right. That's how I get to 17.
My timing of wasn't to say, you ticked them off. My timing was like agreeing with the trouble that you're facing with this decision. And I think a lot of organizations coming from a past role of development, you just feel like there are not enough foundations, trusts, access points for that kind of grant funding to offset the expenses of running a nonprofit, especially those like ours at St. Antoine Community, where 80% of your population's on Medicaid. Like, you obviously have to make up ground for the loss of dollars with reimbursement being as low as it is. I can just say the frustration that I found, obviously I'm passionate about senior services. Everyone knows that. And not that kids aren't deserving, but so many foundations or funding sources like United Way, for example, I also worked for them early on in my career. They start doing needs assessments, and then they start channeling their top 3 areas of support. And that omits all these other areas that are probably just as deserving, if not more deserving, because they don't have the sexy topics. Child services, yes, so much of a need is there, and education for kids, and in the community with home support and homeless encampments and all the topics that we were just discussing a minute ago. The list goes on and on. There's so many needs, but when you have all of this popular community analyst work being done to find out the top 3 areas in our state that need the most help, it omits all these other really needy areas that are not going to get.
I was going to react again to Joe's comment about giving more to education across the state, and I don't know if
Melissa.
Michelle. Good.
It didn't come out Martha. Does anybody remember the Martha era?
I can't believe. I was trying to imagine what's going through her mind when all of education is getting more money. It's like instinctively she must be saying inside, that means we get less.
That means healthcare gets less.
I think again, coming from my perspective, knowing that the population of the aging population is on the rise, especially in our state. We have a really high population of seniors in the state of Rhode Island for such a small state. We have the largest population of seniors
in the country.
In the country, which is we talked about this a few weeks ago on the air. Trying to convince someone to give you money and articulate that in let's say a 6-7 page grant application, you could put the best language in the world, the best supporting statistics. At the end of the day.
So here's the challenge that we have. You look at that and you say, okay, what are the main immediate basic needs that people require? Food, housing. Those are the big pillars of lots of granting organizations out there. Now, I'm not saying that this is good, bad, and different, and I mean this with all due respect. The people at St. Antoine are in a house being fed. And so when a grant organization looks at,
I have so much to say.
I know you do. And I'm not. I don't want to pick a fight or anything, and I'm not telling you that this is what we do, because we made a donation. We made a contribution to Aging Well a couple years ago.
Quick, Joe, get the popcorn.
So
I would totally applaud, because honestly, it's community-based programs for seniors. They have not really recovered since COVID. Right. They needed the money to keep operating.
And it was a discussion that, to your point, we looked at and said, okay, we gave a bunch to food insecurity. We gave a bunch to housing. Let's look at some of these other areas. We looked at seniors. We looked at what do they call it now? Intellectually challenged folks. And there's a small, tiny organization out there trying to keep the intellectually challenged folks in social settings, and so they were looking for not a ton of money, just a little bit of dough, and so we made a grant to them. Now, I looked at that originally, thought, no, I'm not going to do that one. That didn't make sense to me. But everybody else on the committee was like, you know what? It's a feel good grant, because that these people are looking for that type of service. And we've already done our good work here in the basic needs areas. Let's find some of these other grants to do that with. And so it's such a tough discussion.
I don't envy you. I used to run the. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
We did get
Just
one
cut
note.
us off.
One note called in, just saying, watching the governor's speech last night, they said, I watched the governor went off script and ad-libbed numerous times during his speech, doing shout-outs repeatedly. Agrees with Tim, no question, the prompter operator couldn't keep up. And the person that was doing the sign language for the deaf interpreter just rolled with the punches, but after an hour, they had to change and go to the backup interpreter. What, did they get tired?
Maybe. That woman's arms were flying.
All over the place? All right.
Oh, boy.
We'll take a look at the forecast right now, being brought to you by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Sunny skies today with a high of 29 degrees and a breeze from the northwest. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low of 12. Thursday's weather, mostly sunny with a high of 31. Thursday night, a 20% chance of a snow flurry. Friday, sunshine and 35 with calm wind. Saturday's weather, a 70% chance of showers likely, mainly in the afternoon, and mostly cloudy skies all day with a high of 45 and a wind from the south up to 30 miles per hour. Saturday night, rain ends, possibly as some snow showers, 30% chance of precipitation, mostly cloudy overnight on Saturday night with an overnight low of 30. Sunday's weather, partly sunny and 43. Monday, Martin Luther King Day, a chance of snow, 50% chance, partly sunny skies though, with a high of 28 and a breeze from the west up to 25 miles per hour. And on Tuesday, sunshine with a high for the whole day of 17 degrees.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 22 degrees. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Information at positivecoach.org.
This has turned out to be one of the best ski seasons ever. We have got so much snow. Come on out.
If you haven't been this season, now's the time. The conditions are incredible. Come see for yourself.
Satisfaction guaranteed.
Buy your tickets online at Wachusett.com.
It's Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith, Tim Draper, and John Warden. Tim, time for a first message from Navigant Credit Union.
I almost feel like we just should continue the off-air
Donate to
conversation
the
because it's
community
good.
fund at
Anyway,
Navigant
no,
Credit
so if you have a small business here in the city or around the city and you are looking for some fresh ideas about how to help run your business, we have really launched into our new cash management program at the credit union and have a great team around that. So if running a business is a sort of a labor of love and you don't have any hours in a day and you're always stretched for time, let us help handle your transactions and cash management needs so that you can focus on the other things that that your business requires. Things like collections, which you don't think about, but everybody has accounts receivable. So if you have collections issues, we can help you with that. Mobile remote deposit capture. So if you have clients that are using checks still, and they give them to you, you can process them much faster. Autobooks is a way for you to handle your payment process. ACH collection, streamline your transactions with electronic payments. Merchant payment processing, and remote deposit capture. Smart Safes is a new service that we're offering through Brinks, and it's a kind of a cool way for you to protect some of the important documents and items that you have on your in your business. So if you're looking for that kind of service, cash management, please give us a call, 233-4700, and ask for somebody on the cash management team, or go on in and visit our friends up at Park Square, Christian and his team, and they can certainly direct you in the right direction.
Very good, Tim. All right, it's opinion time, everybody. There's a growing support for the call for Governor Dan McKee to declare a homelessness public health emergency. 50 members of the General Assembly signed a petition, and 20 state senators have added their names to this petition, and Senate President Dominic Ruggiero is on this as well. Should the governor declare a public health emergency because of homelessness?
Start with Melissa.
Just
Oh,
crickets.
God,
Start with
thanks.
Melissa.
Thank you.
Well, you haven't said much.
Go ahead, Melissa. Or Michelle.
Or Martha.
Or Wanda.
I heard that, and
Are we at that level yet?
I don't want to seem naive or gullible to say no, because maybe I don't have a grip on how big and broad the
scope is,
program
okay.
is.
That's not naive
the
or
problem. I
gullible.
don't know why I said program.
That's intellectual integrity.
Oh, thank you. Doesn't exist a lot these days. But just to be very honest, like I think I have an understanding of the scope of the problem, but I'm sure it's even bigger than I understand. And we've talked in circles about like what are ways to resolve the problem, and I don't feel like there's any solid solution. So you can declare a state of emergency, but I'm not quite sure. How much money is going to resolve it, remedy it? How many services are going to remedy it? How many support? It just I don't know how to fix it.
Okay.
So
I'm on Melissa's side. I think that declaring a state of emergency just opens up the spigot to the money, and then where's that going to go?
yeah.
Because we've done it before.
What money?
Well, that's the
If you
other problem.
declare the emergency, there's money that can be gotten.
From who?
From who? The
Well,
federal?
I don't know.
The feds?
Well, let's pretend that money comes in
All right.
to the state for this problem. Let's say it's $100 million. I don't know, John. I'm just throwing caution.
I'm shaking my head because I'm just going to interject the reality factor here. This is not about money. It's not about throwing money at the problem. They've got $100 million of bond money for homes.
But what
they're
does
doing nothing
declaring
with.
it get you?
What the declaring the emergency does is it allows the governor to do something that the cowards in the assembly refuse to do, which is fix the fire code interpretations so they can open up the pallet houses.
Yeah.
Period. End of discussion. That's all this is about.
Okay.
The lame, limp, whatever cowards in the General Assembly don't have the intestinal fortitude to change the law quickly so that the governor can sign it and they can get into those pallet houses. So they want him to declare an emergency so that they can say now, waive the fire code so that they can move in. That's all this is about. It's about a pile of cowards who just don't want to do their job out of fear.
Fear
Period.
of what? Not getting reelected.
Melissa asked,
Fear of not getting reelected.
what will it do
Fear of, I don't know what they're afraid of.
if an emergency is declared? Okay, this will, according to lawmakers, it would mobilize resources, streamline solutions, and provide immediate relief for the homeless. I
So
mean,
there's
you can't
money
get, you can't
involved.
get any more
So
vague
basically,
than that,
they're,
by
saying,
the way.
they're basically saying the state administration sucks.
Right.
And somehow declaring an emergency mobilizes everything.
Everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can't they mobilize it without declaring an emergency?
Well, I think you nailed it. It's
I don't know.
vague, and I
It's
think
vague,
people
yeah.
like me who maybe aren't as up close in all the talking points as John,
And
I
cynical.
hear that and cynical. I hear it and I say, okay, the vagueness of that also means resources. It's dollar signs.
Yeah.
That's what I think of. Are we putting the dollars into the hands of those that are homeless? Are we putting it into
Bureaucrats.
fire rescue? Are we putting it
Bureaucrats.
into clinics? Are we putting right? So, but you
Staff.
just think to
They're gonna have
yourself,
to hire
money.
staff.
I don't hear a plan behind it. I just hear we need resources. I would like to know.
What they are. Yeah. Okay.
That's all.
That's
Alrighty.
lame crap.
Moving on to something else. Medical. The
The
nurses.
show this morning.
Heavy topics this morning.
Nurses Union in Rhode Island, they've issued a press release. It'll be catastrophic if Roger Williams Medical Center and Our Lady Fatima Hospital closes, because they're saying, okay, we ship all the other patients out to all the other hospitals that won't be able to handle it.
They already can't
We
handle
know.
the volume.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Just look at Memorial Hospital when they closed it down.
Yeah.
Thank you, and
No,
that was
not-
devastating to be a part of.
Now, according to Peter Nerona, the hospitals will stay open while they're being sold to this California company.
Yeah.
So everything's going to be fine and not
Yeah,
to
I
worry.
don't know why everybody's
In an uproar?
The nurses are in up because he already said that. I mean, that was
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe the question should be asked is why are all of these hospitals struggling financially?
right.
Thank you.
I think it's money.
Shortages,
Let's get resources.
resources,
Let's get resources.
and these
Why-
big
and
structures.
And why do we have a problem with primary care physicians?
And to
in the state?
maintain
Because
these
the reimbursement
big
rates stink.
structures, as I can attest where I work at St. Antoine,
Everybody raise your hand if you don't actually have a primary care physician.
Oh yeah, right. So you got staff shortages, but you have to maintain these big
I'm gonna get rid of
facilities that cost an exorbitant amount of money to replace air filtration systems and heating systems and whatever else
And
to
stay up to
keep them
code.
running and stay up to code and the licensing from DOH. It's endless and it takes all your dollars. It takes all your dollars, and then you have to worry
And
about
you have to hire
competitive
staff
salary
just
wage.
to take care of all that
Right,
crap.
and then you're talking about agency staff, which costs us twice as much as having your own staff. Retention expenses, et cetera. It just goes on and on and on, and then the shortages of physicians and nurses, I think, is probably the number one problem you have.
That should be the number one problem.
But it's tough.
So we have shortages of physicians and nurses. We have shortages of teachers in the education system. We have shortages of everything because we're Rhode Island.
I might have told this story before, but just as a reminder, my wife and daughter have the same primary care physician in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay? The doctor lives in Situate. Started practicing in Rhode Island and got out.
Yeah.
Money. And that's why there's a shortage
My
of...
brother struggles with the same thing with his dental practice.
okay.
Is
That's
he
it, I'm getting out.
if he had ever decided earlier on to cross over into Massachusetts, whether it's Blackstone or just somewhere close by, his reimbursements from Delta Dental in Massachusetts would increase his income significantly because they just don't pay.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the real issue then here in Rhode Island.
Same thing with Medicaid. Same thing with every reimbursable
Just clear
program.
my
Melissa
throat.
just
Insurance in Rhode Island.
And she agrees. All right, so that is the issue. So okay, other things going on. This should make you feel a little happier, Melissa.
What panda needs a name?
No. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu had her third child,
Oh,
so she had a baby.
okay.
Isn't that sweet?
It's great.
That's only make you
Are
feel
you
happy.
asking me to name her
No,
child?
no. She's already got a name, so you're all
I
set.
didn't even get that out.
I saw a Globe article that said it was a girl. And
It
You
is.
know what the first thought that crossed my
wait a
mind
minute.
was because it's her?
Oh,
How do you know?
Somebody has to know.
John.
Actually, it doesn't.
Somebody
It
has to
doesn't
know.
say. The name of the child
Chromosomal?
is Mira, Mira. I'm assuming that's a female name.
And Mira.
It is now.
It is now. Middle name is Wu, and the last name is
Whoa.
Puarski.
Woo woo.
Pewarski.
So
P what?
she kept her maiden name when she
It might be
became
time
maiden.
to turn John's microphone off.
Pewarski.
Is there a way to do that? Just
Must be the father's last name.
That's good. That's interesting.
which one's
Mira
John's?
Wu Puarski. So which one's John's?
Hello. Oh my God! Don't do that, David. I'll have a heart attack.
So we had a school bus crash in Grafton. The good news is none of the kids were hurt on the bus. There were 14 on the bus, but the bus driver had some minor injuries, and the person in the car had some serious injuries.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they ran into the bus, kind of thing, and so everything was all right there for the kids on the bus. So that part's good. So and I had a shooting in my area of the state of Massachusetts. That place is about 5 miles. From where I live.
Is it a complex behind Target?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay, that's where I thought that was.
It's kind of like Darling Village. We built a Target. We put in a big Y supermarket. We put in a few other retail establishments, and then we build the apartment complex that goes right next to it, so they can walk to it. Okay, so the shooting happens at the apartment complex. A 14-year-old girl gets shot in the face.
Yeah. But
She was-
apparently somebody she knew.
Yes, that's what the police came out and said. This is an isolated incident. It's, the public is, everybody's okay. They were targeting her. She was taken to Brockton Hospital. That's the nearest one. Good Samaritan. And then she was med-flighted to Boston because she has life-threatening injuries, which would normally happen if you get shot in the face. So,
Well, it'd be life-threatening.
so I just wonder what in the world went on with that. And they haven't picked up, at least not yet, haven't picked up the people that did the shooting. They hopped in the car and took off before the police could arrive.
I think you can.
And I go to
Assume-
that Target all the time
Yeah.
because it's just the closest one. So, goody.
Yeah. Yay.
Teens
Yay.
are troubled right now.
You're
Teens
right.
are troubled.
Speaking of teens in
We'll
trouble,
leave it that.
my daughter's just beside herself, 19 years old, and she's been buzzing ever since Christmas time because she's so worried about TikTok and what's going to happen.
Oh, good
Oh my
God.
goodness.
Well, it is. It's big,
no.
John. It's the end of the world. I'm telling you.
It'll be like prohibition.
Well, she went out and did what millions, I would say, of other people are doing because we had the story yesterday. There's a new one.
Yeah. It's
called
a new Chinese.
Redstone,
Yeah,
also
it's a
from
new
China. She signed up for it immediately and said, "Okay." And so
What's it called?
Redstone.
Can't we invent something like
Yeah.
that in the USA? Isn't
I don't
there
know.
like a social media? We did
So
Facebook, right?
I mentioned that to Ed Carew yesterday. I said, so it doesn't matter if TikTok is sold or not sold or closes or whatever, because there's always something new coming along, right? He's like, of course.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
here's another Chinese company that all the teens and I'm going to go up to 25 of this. They're just shifting over to it because it's the number one free app on Apple. That was the story.
Yep.
Is this new TikTok sharing video type of
Is it
app.
also not by the same company, ByteDance?
It's by a different company, but it's also by a Chinese company.
Well, I think there's another
forget the name
ByteDance
of it.
company out there that's invented another
Yeah.
social media platform
Well,
that they're gonna.
They just keep coming and coming.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, it's time for your second message, please, from Navigant Credit Union.
All right. Well, beyond that, on that topic of getting your information stolen, I want to just emphasize a scam alert that has been put out by lots of local police administrations, a lot of local police authorities around the state. It's a texting scam, and it starts off with your vehicle has an unpaid toll bill.
I got this one.
Yeah, I did too. To avoid excessive late fees on your bill, please settle promptly. Thank you for your cooperation in the amount of $6.99, and there's a link. Don't press the link.
Oh my gosh, no.
Matter of fact, just delete that and block it. If it's a text message you got, if it's a phone call you're getting about this, also do that. So what they're doing is the bad guys are trying to scare you into it. Because I literally drove back from New Hampshire on Monday and got that when I got home, and I went, did my transponder run out of money?
Yeah.
So instead of clicking the link, I went to my toll account.
Okay.
And I looked, and I'm like,
Everything's
nope,
fine.
I got plenty of money in there, and then the credit card's the correct credit card. So I'm like, that's a scam. And then I started seeing all these pop up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Before I had a Easy Pass in my truck, I had gone through a toll booth, and I thought, oh crap, I don't have the thing in my truck, and but then I realized they don't do any of those transactions electronically. How would they even get your number?
Yeah.
It's because you're going through something and they can't identify you. So the only thing they have is the registration information, which doesn't have your phone number, and so they mail it to you.
There you go.
That's the only way you can get one of those is in the mail.
Right. So there you go. That's my public service announcement from Navigant Credit Union. Just kind of making sure everybody's staying on their toes.
All right. Did you get this message too?
My daughter did.
Oh, she didn't.
Yep, she did. I did not.
So
which I
she's
thought
probably
was
in the
funny.
same boat as me. It's like, I don't have an easy pass.
She's like, I don't understand what this means. I'm like, oh, you got hit. Like, yeah.
Get rid of
I've
it.
gotten 2 in the last couple of weeks from the United States Postal Service saying
Oh, yeah, those
that
are-
they have an incomplete address and they can't
Oh,
deliver
I've-
the product.
yeah, I've
so
gotten those,
please click
so-
on the link and fill in the
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, right.
Nah, I don't
okay.
think so. All right, more coffee and coming up. Stay tuned.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up gołąbki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Join the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center for its annual winter fundraiser at Cello's in Woonsocket on Sunday, January 19th from 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Cello's will donate up to 20% of your check to the center. Everyone who participates will be entered into a free drawing for gift cards to Cello's and more. A certificate is needed and can be obtained at Belo's Flowers, Creative Impressions, The Honey Shop, Little General on Cumberland Street, Missy's Family Restaurant, Pine Swamp Place, Timeless Antiques, Vos True Value Hardware, or online at the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center website.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan, along with John Ward and Tim Draper and Melissa Smith. Is everybody still all ramped up?
Yeah. What do you want? Shoot,
Oh,
fire
Lord.
away.
But here's another one. I didn't hear about this until just this morning. Federal authorities have filed a civil lawsuit against a Stockton, California nurse practitioner, alleging she operated a nationwide scheme to sell illegal opioid prescriptions for cash. It's been going on since 2019.
How do you not know that? How is that not on somebody's radar screen?
I don't know. Well, maybe it was, and they're just building a case against her. Joan
5
Rubinger.
years?
I don't work for the police, so I don't know.
I'm not a general.
That's right. Joan Rubinger reportedly issued more than 900 illegitimate prescriptions for addictive drugs like the good stuff, oxycodone, Percocet, Xanax, and Adderall, often without medical examinations or records. Authorities say she would meet customers in the hotel room, use encrypted messaging for transactions, and instructed clients on evading detection.
So where would she get her supply from?
Doesn't say.
How's that different than selling ED medication without a...
I don't
Never
know.
mind.
The lawsuit seeks to ban her from prescribing controlled substances and impose civil penalties. Doesn't say how much.
Well, there were all those shows that came out clustered all at once, like doping and I don't know. They were all surrounding the opioid epidemic. And I wondered too if that just prompted more investigations into some of this activity, but not surprised.
It could be a byproduct of another investigation. I'm going to be fascinated to see because now you turn on a television set, you cannot watch a show without seeing drug commercials constantly.
That's all you see now. Drug and car
But
commercials.
we're one of
That's it.
only
And
2
insurance.
countries in the world
That
that allows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to stop.
And I'm wondering if Kennedy, if he becomes the director at the Department of Health.
I don't think he's addressed that though yet. Has he?
I think he may have hinted that
Hinted at
there's
it?
no place for those
Get
commercials
him
on
off.
television.
All right.
And if they ever ban those commercials
Like in the
from
middle
TV,
of,
where are the networks going to get their revenue?
I know.
You just said ED meds. Commercials are all over the place.
All
In
over.
the
Yeah.
middle of, was it the Thanksgiving parade where kids are watching?
Right.
Yes.
And I'm like, are you joking me right now? Now my kids are older, so
They're not asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they
they've
know
seen
exactly
it enough,
what it
you
is,
know?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
when they were little, they used to repeat all the jingles of every other commercial. But you think to yourself, are you joking me right now?
No,
Yeah,
where do you
Johnny
want to
and
pay to be on
Don't
it?
watch a golf tournament. Oh,
Middle
my
of the
God.
day.
Vismo and you name it. Yeah.
Middle of the day.
All right, bad news for this teacher down in Tennessee. A Cheatham County middle school teacher, Tennessee, is behind bars after cocaine was allegedly found in her classroom. She brought it to school with her.
Genius.
Have you dealt with kids lately? You might need that.
Mia
Pick her up.
King was arrested, fired on Monday. She was an English teacher at the middle school, had been employed there since not too long, 2023. District is fully cooperating with the investigation. So,
Oh, Lordy.
I want to wait till you get to international news some week where you're talking about the tragedy in Great Britain where so many of the immigrants that have come into the country who are from Pakistan and whatever have been assaulting and raping underage girls, and the government has been looking the other way because they're afraid to offend.
I've heard that
because
for like
of
the
their
last 2
religious
weeks.
thing, and now they're
Things that
starting
are
to
going on
really
like this.
push, and the liberal government's getting possibly going to get pushed out because the liberal government actually voted to refuse to investigate
Yeah.
that issue.
And I was wondering if all of
across
that
the
was
country.
true. And I know Elon Musk is all up in arms about it over there as well.
There seems to be evidence of it.
Yeah. And I'm hearing the wrong people are being arrested.
Well, they go
like
into
the
a house. They
fathers
went
of
into.
the,
Apparently, there's a
of the
story about
girls.
them going into a house where there was a 13 or 14-year-old girl, and there were 6 men that had been assaulting her, and they arrested her,
Yeah.
not the men.
I'm reading stories like that too. And it's sickening.
It's I can't wait for that to really cross the pond, as it were.
Yep.
So we can read all about it.
You know what else is hitting the whole social media now, and you just wonder why people are all they're freaking out. They're up in arms because Carrie Underwood's going to sing at the inauguration.
Oh yes, it's terrible.
And they're so upset with her. Oh, I'm never going to watch her again. And,
Okay, I don't watch the
I'm
Dixie Chicks. Or
okay.
listen to the Dixie Chicks.
Okay, but she has, if she wants to perform,
Let her perform.
let her perform. So I don't know. What
She'll
the
have
big
an audience when
deal-
it's all said and done. At least
Well,
half the
yeah.
country will love her.
But the amount of people that are just freaking out, they're just.
Let them.
I heard a story yesterday. Someone knew someone that is a Trump hater, and now found out Carrie Underwood is. I'll never listen to her again. I'm like, well, that means you can't watch Sunday Night Football because she sings the opening title. so now what are you gonna do? So
Something tells me that anybody who would say, I'm never going to listen to Carrie Underwood again over this, probably doesn't watch Sunday Night Football.
well, probably you're right.
Probably
Probably not. So, all right. Let's see. Other fun things going on. Let's see.
Nobody goes through the papers. We could come up with lots of fun topics.
I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to fish for a positive, happy one to wrap up the show with.
A team of global health experts is proposing redefining obesity. The Commission on Clinical Obesity is recommending including body fat measurements and existing health issues instead of relying on body mass index alone.
My obesity just got worse.
I would like to touch upon this.
Oh, go right ahead then.
I thought one
So-
was a formulation of the other.
When you go to the pediatrician these days, so I just had my girls' physical in November, and they are both healthy, athletic teenage girls, 14, almost 18.
All right.
You get a little printout at the end of your appointment, and it summarizes everything you talked to
Yeah.
the doctor about, all the vaccines, all the things. And then there's like this whole summary on like dietary recommendations, the body mass index, there's
It's all
graphs,
there.
there's everything,
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
And you go through that from the time they're an infant all the way through because it always does a height measurement and comparison, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the office with the doctor and the doctor's like, your kids are incredibly healthy, they're active, they're making good lifestyle choices, they're this or that, whatever, and you know physically as a mom, physically, mentally, whatever, that your kids are in great shape, very healthy, there's not a droplet of fat on them. And then you get this printout,
And
and
so
it
is there
indicates
something
that
wrong?
your kid is obese, and you're like, the language choice in the summary. So my kids are going through their stuff,
Oh,
and
I
they're
must
like,
be distraught.
why didn't Dr. So-and-so
Yeah.
talk to me about this? Do you think that I'm fat? This is saying, and I'm just blown away by the fact that these obesity metrics, whatever
Yeah.
that they're using today, how are they defining height to body weight without testing mass and muscle? And I just,
Well, and that's always been the troubling thing is that they don't consider body differences like bone mass and
100%.
muscle mass and all kinds of
All of
things.
it.
Now, don't get me wrong, you can be overly muscular and actually be dangerously unhealthy. But moderately normal muscular people, if that's not what the standards seem to indicate,
yeah.
then you may be considered, or somebody that's a larger frame may be considered obese simply because of raw weight.
So maybe I'm muscular, Joe.
That's
Maybe
it.
That's
That's us. That's
I
where
just
we
worry
are.
about the impact of, you're with your physician, you're having a dialogue that's very different than what's documented. God
Yeah.
forbid my kid ever had a stroke on the soccer field, because that seems to be happening more and more these days, or some kind of cardiac moment, and then insurance is tying it back to recommendations that were noted in the whatever.
Oh,
you're just looking at this like, whoa, this is not really measuring kids today, or adults, I feel like, as well. I've always had that same struggle, like how I'm labeled with my doctor, is that what's really in front of them? It's all computerized, and it's just a generalized output versus what you're referencing. Everyone's height, build, bone structure, muscle mass, all of it needs to be calculated differently.
Well, that's what they're saying. The commission wants to use, or they recommend using the terms preclinical and clinical obesity to distinguish between people who have potential health risks from obesity versus those who have issues affecting their organ functions.
But I have seen videos that people pull up from time to time and put on social media about what physically fit was and what gym classes were back in 1960. And you look at the kids in the school and the class that's going through this fitness class, and they look like skin and bones.
Yeah.
Skin, bones, and a little bit of muscle. And you can't find a human child in this country right now that looks like that, except a rare exception.
Gym class is not what it used to be, John.
Or you have have those kids.
But
my kids
diet is nothing at all like it was back
that's
then.
true.
But my kids have friends that are like that, skin and bones, etc. But they can down 2 large pizzas themselves and 2 bags of chips, and you're like,
Well, that's
right?
basic
so
metabolic
some of
differences.
some of it is just natural chemical makeup, not
All right, we got to run. We've run out of time.
Sure,
we
we
could go on
have.
and on and on, but we can't. Sorry
Out of
about
time
that.
20 minutes ago.
Let's pick this up in next week. All
Sorry,
right.
are we 20 past?
No.
Not quite yet. All right. Thanks for listening to the show, everyone. Always appreciated. Melissa Smith, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Tim Draper, thanks for coming.
Joe, thanks.
All right. And John Ward.
Hey, it's going to get really cold before our next
Yes.
meeting together here. So go out and enjoy the God-given day.
Very good. This is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day and stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember coming up at 9:30 on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee has delivered his annual State of the State address before a joint session of the Rhode Island General Assembly last night. The governor addressed